this fella from here. That's the first thing to go, you know. 50 is getting fancy with typing in Devanagari. Very nice. Nice to see all of you. Is everybody comfortable? Are you comfortable in that chair?
Sure.
You're okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you.
Because if you need something for your feet or something, you know, just ask.
Thanks.
Make noises, okay? Peter isn't here yet. May I have a copy of the text? Yeah, ignore this. Is this the? Yeah, ignore this schedule. Yeah, and take this one, which I have here. Is there, other than Rahul, is there anybody else who doesn't have this schedule? The new one? Yeah. Inga? Yeah, that. One for you, one for Rahul, and one for Inga. Inga here. One for you.
Oh, I have.
No, that's for Rahul.
Yes. I gave him one.
Oh, he already has one? Here.
Okay, so here's two.
Do you have one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So what I'd like you to do is immediately remove the first page of the talk right now in front of me, and then put that aside. You can use it for recycle. You can recycle it, and then put this one, you know, in its place. And I'm going to do the same because I don't want to be confused. I'm just going to fold this and set it aside, or put a cross through it. I see that we are ecologically sound here. We cannot dispense with the first page. I spoke too soon. So just cross it over and look at the nice Shanti mantra instead. So put a cross through it. Okay. Shanti mantra from the Samaveda, which is in the first page when you flip the old schedule over. Om Apyayantu Mamangani. Om Apyayantu Mamangani. Vak Pranaschakshuhu.
Vak Pranaschakshuhu.
Vak Pranaschakshushrodram.
Vak Pranaschakshushrodram.
Vak Pranaschakshushrodram.
Vak Pranaschakshushrodram.
Atho balamindriyani cha sarvani.
Atho
balamindriyani cha sarvani. Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam.
Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam.
Maham Brahma Nirakuryam.
Maham Brahma Nirakuryam.
You see, Nirakuryam, we can't swallow the long A, because then it changes the whole meaning in certain cases, and also it changes the energetics. The mantras have certain energetics that they transform both the adhyatma, the inner space, and the adhibhuta, which is the outer space, the surroundings. They purify. This is mantra means mananat trayate, that which protects upon repetition. So therefore, it is incumbent upon us to make sure that we chant, exactly as it is, given. Mistakes are made, no problem. We will correct them. Maham Brahma Nirakuryam.
Maham Brahma Nirakuryam.
Mama Brahma Nirakarot.
Mama Brahma Nirakarot.
Anirakaranamastu.
Anirakaranamastu.
Anirakaranam me astu.
Anirakaranam me astu.
Anirakaranamastvanirakaranam me astu.
Anirakaranamastvanirakaranam me astu.
Very good. Tadatmani nirate.
Tadatmani nirate.
Ya upanishatsu dharmaha.
Ya upanishatsu dharmaha.
Te mayi santo.
Te mayi santu.
Te mayi santo.
Te mayi santu.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yeah, very beautiful Shanti mantra. We will see the meaning after we do the regular Shanti mantra of the Krishna Yajurveda, which is that Sahana Bhavatu mantra, which we chant every day. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So like we saw yesterday, every Upanishad, every Veda has a Shanti mantra. The Shanti mantra is needed because the one who is reading, the one who is studying is Ashanta Purusha. The Ashanta is studying this in order to get Shanti. This is why, this is the problem. Ashanta means what? The one who is lacking Shanti. Yeah, one who doesn't know how to spell Shanti is looking for Shanti and is approaching the study of the Upanishad, which is the abode of Shanti. Right? Yeah. This abode of Shanti, which is the Upanishad, it is an abode of absolute Shanti. Yeah, what is absolute Shanti? Absolute Shanti is from which there is no disturbance possible. Knowing which one cannot be disturbed at all. Adhyatmikali, it's now a word, adhibhautikali, or what? Adhidaivikali. Yes. From any source one cannot be disturbed. One is totally free of disturbance. Seeing oneself as limitless, one is undisturbed forever. This is the message of the absolute Shanti, derived from the word Sham, derived from the word Shama. That Shama is Shanti. That resolution which never gets disturbed by anything, because in the discovery of the fact that there is nothing other than me, this Shanti is what is the nature of oneself, which is delineated in the Upanishads. But who is studying this? The Ashanta Purusha. The one who cannot even bear to look at this. The restless one, the fickle-minded one, the one who is having so many distractions. The body is sitting here all right, but the mind is already thinking, did I turn off the stove? Did I lock the door? So many thoughts. So like this is the one that is sitting to study, correct? And so this student of absolute Shanti cannot even enter the Veda, cannot even enter the Upanishad without helping oneself to several, shares of a relative Shanti. That relative Shanti is what makes the person ready for the knowledge of the absolute. Absolute Shanti is dependent upon relative Shanti, really. And so this relative Shanti is what the Shanti mantra gives. It immediately takes care of a number of concerns that one has, and all the Shanti mantras have this in common. First, they take care of a number of concerns and also a number of wrong identifications which are nurtured, but that's where the student is at. I am as good as the body. Oh my God, will I be able to sit through class? Why? Because the doctor has told me that sitting is bad for health. Sitting is the new smoking. Yeah, that's what they say. Keep standing. Maybe the future Vedanta classes, everybody will be balanced on a ball. Instead of having asanas like this, and instead of sitting in the lotus position, perhaps we will be all, moving around, and the teacher will also have to keep moving around, because that's the only way to stay healthy. How distracting. Think about it. Thankfully, we are not there now. We don't have to think about it. So anyhow, this, so one is worried about sitting. One is worried, can I sit? How to sit? I'm not used to sitting on the floor. What will happen if I sit on the floor? All these things. And so this, the Shanti mantras all start from the body. We don't deny the body. In fact, it is worshipful because it is a vehicle. It is a vehicle. First, a vehicle for bhoga. That need not be translated, right? Everybody knows the meaning of bhoga. Just in case somebody doesn't, conspicuous consumption, bhoga. From bhuj, to consume. Correct? And it is also a vehicle for what? Yoga. It is a vehicle for moksha. And so the bhoga sharira is made into yoga sharira with karma yoga, prayer, knowledge, everything. And the yoga sharira becomes moksha yogya. It becomes ready for the pursuit of the teaching. But until then, it is still something, the body and the mind are always cause for concerns. So the Shanti mantras in general, first I'll talk about the Shanti mantras in general, then we will land on this mantra. So the Shanti mantras in general dispel the fears by converting, and the best way to dispel the fears is to convert them into prayer. That is the best way to dispel fears. Because in face of the fear I'm helpless, and it is a great blessing to recognize this helplessness. But that's only a partial blessing. The complete blessing comes when I am able to convert this helplessness into a prayer which is asking for help from the only source that can give. Because if you tell the significant other, I'm afraid that the body is aging, I'm afraid of being able to sit down, I'm afraid of once I sit down, I'm then afraid of getting up. How will I get up? Somehow I sat down, but I need 3 people to lift me up. What's going to happen? If you tell the significant other, keep telling them every day, I'm afraid of my mind, I'm afraid I'm losing my senses. If you keep telling the significant other every day the same thing, then the word significant will be dropped from this relationship. There will only be other. That's what it is. So therefore you cannot say, because the significant other will say, wait till you find out how it is to live in my body. You keep talking about your body and your mind. Never mind. Listen to me. Correct? So it is very difficult to find, anybody in the world to listen endlessly to oneself. That's why we bring in Bhagavan. And all our deities are happy, smiling, and they have their, don't fear, I am here, mudra, abhaya mudra, and then they become the recipient of my own fears and projections. Uncomplainingly they take it on and they make this into a blessing. And so therefore, the Upanishad, the Vedas, help us very cleverly. Mother Shruti is a great teacher and she helps us convert the helplessness into an active seeking for help. You see, in the former I am a victim. Oh, I'll never get this knowledge. Oh, it's for other people, not for me. Oh, how sad. How come only I can't get this knowledge? This is the victim stance, and a victim stance is not just helpless. It's okay to feel helpless, but it is a powerless stance. Very powerless. And that powerlessness, there is nothing more daridra. Daridra means it's a poverty. Disempowerment, a feeling of disempowerment is the greatest poverty, really. It's a spiritual poverty. And so here, through a beautiful, reversal, this rehearsal of victimization is converted into an active agency where the jiva, the individual, is seeking help from a source that is infallible, Bhagavan, from Ishvara. So this becomes, so now in a minute, in a trice, what has happened? The jiva, the helpless victim, is converted into a wise seeker, an agent acting on his or her own behalf rather than, saying, I can't do anything about this, I am stuck, I am completely flummoxed, and I think I better go back to bed. Especially the weather is complying with that idea very well. And so, why bother? So even though in the prayer, everything is a paradox in Vedanta. Even this is a paradox. The Shanti mantra is also a paradox. That first of all, I need a relative Shanti in order to pursue the absolute Shanti. It's a paradox. And here, even as I throw my hands in helplessness, it converts me into an active agent. Because I give up. In fact, the giving up converts me into an agent. A wise seeker who understands that one does not call all the shots. In fact, one does not call any shot, really. What do we have control over? Even, the breakfast you ate, that it went through the right pipe is a miracle. It's a miracle. Because both the pipes are very close together. It could have gone through the wrong pipe. One could have ended up in the hospital. But the fact that it did not itself is a blessing, and that shows that one is not even in control of the things we normally think I'm in charge of. And so this acknowledgement of the helplessness is indeed an acceptance, and that acceptance makes me wise and in close tandem with the laws of Bhagavan, nay, with Bhagavan itself, himself, herself. Why? Because what is Ishvara. We have seen this many, many times, correct? And if you spell Ishvara in English, what are the first two letters? Is. Yeah, that's how. What is Ishvara? And in this helplessness is also the presence of Ishvara that is cognized. I Ishvarize the helplessness, and once the helplessness is Ishvarized, it's no longer helpless. It is now I'm converted into a wise seeker who is proclaiming on my own behalf. I become an advocate rather than a victim. And this is how the relative Shanti comes, because now I'm no longer in charge of my body. Body has been Ishvarized, mind has been Ishvarized, senses have been Ishvarized. My focus, my attention or lack thereof have been Ishvarized. Any kind of disturbances inside the room have been Ishvarized. Any kind of Ishvara, disturbances like earthquake, etc. have been, of course, they are already Ishvarized. And then what? any kind of disturbances within myself are also Ishvarized. The limited bows to the limitless and heaps upon the limitless all the limited notions. And when the limited, gets subsumed in the limitless, there is no more limited. Really. This is, the only limited is companies, private limited. That's the only, there is no limited. And so the Shanti mantra is a very clever way to bring oneself back to the here and the now, through instantly calling upon that Shanti that one is forever pursuing. And so this is in general about the Shanti mantras. And all the Shanti mantras have something very special. Each one has something very special. I'm warming up about it. And this one is no exception. This one is rather special because it talks about a very subtle sense of alienation which dogs the seeker, which can dog the seeker even at later stages of Shravanam. Shravanam means listening. Even though one, like I talked about this at the orientation yesterday, that even though one is an accomplished listener, the more accomplished one becomes as a listener, the more accomplished the sneaky, the little distractions and the little, excuses also get. You become a subtle listener, and the pratibandhas, the obstacles also say, why should we be left behind? We will also get more and more subtle. You become much more aware, you become hyper aware and hyper vigilant, and in order to escape that vigilance, they become hyper subtle. It's like when you turn the light on, all the cockroaches, they are photosensitive, that's what it is. And they, dishani, dravanti, they go in all directions and hide under all dark things, correct? Now, in India, this is a true story. I mean, many things I make up, but this is not one of them. Just like when you go away, you have a timer sometimes to, what is that? To fool all the robbers. Robbers wannabe are fooled by the timer. 6 o'clock the light goes on, 9 o'clock it goes off, something like this. And the cockroaches are also on a timer in India. I have seen this because if, like on a festival day, like Deepavali day, everybody wakes up at 3 o'clock in the morning because you're supposed to take a head shower, you wash your hair, and then you wear nice clothes, and then you pray. So this is a ritual that starts extra early. Even though everybody may be getting up at 5 o'clock, that day is an exception because there are so many people in the family, everybody has to take a bath, and then you take oil bath, you oil yourself and indulge in a nice bath, and so it takes time. So everybody is up by 3:30, and the cockroaches are also on a timer. Poor things, they don't know what to do when the light is suddenly turned on. But when you wake up at the regular time at 5 o'clock in the morning, they are used to it. You see, when you wake up and come to the living room and turn on the light at 5 o'clock, your regular getting up time, not a single one will be caught, unawares. So like this, the inner roaches that disturb have also become very subtle. They know where the thing is. They know how to just become very invisible and pretend that the obstacles are not there. And so this Shanti mantra I like very much because it brings to light the subtle forms of alienation and disconnection that often goes under the couch, that often goes under the rug, unrecognized. It makes it into a social fact. And when something is made into a social fact, it is half the battle is won. So that is why this Shanti mantra is very, very dear to me. And so we begin with the body. Apyayantu mamangani. Anga means, parts of the body. Anga belongs to Angi. Angi means the one who is embodied. Anga is various limbs. And here the limbs include a combination of the organs of action and also the sense organs. Sometimes they make a distinction between Jnanendriya and Karmendriya. Here all of them are included as Indriya. So all the organs, all the limbs, and they are named Apyayantu. Apyayantu means may they increase. Increase in what? In their sensitivity, in their capacity to be more vigilant, in their strength, in their ability to imbibe the Shastra, because this is all readying the body for being an apt vehicle of knowledge. Only when there is an apt vehicle of knowledge in the form of the body can one become apta. I think the word apt is a derivation of apta. Apta means the one who has gained this truth. So, may Bhagavan's grace be in all the limbs of the body. May they grow in strength, in their capacity. And what are the things that, whose body are we praying for? Mama, my own, not the neighbor's, my own body. Starting with speech. Very interesting that it starts with speech. Because this is something I don't see as an organ. Speech is something that happens, right? And that's why we are constantly editing, punctuating and abridging ourselves. We say something and then we say, no, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean to say that. What I really meant to say was this. No, actually I didn't mean that, but actually I meant this. And this is because the speech just happens. One is not always mindful of speech. So here by bringing Vak, that's why the speech, the Adhisthana Devata, the presiding deity for speech is fire. Fire just happens. 1 minute it was a matchstick and another minute it's a house that is ablaze. How did that happen? I don't know. Same thing with speech. It ignites. And so here, may it grow means grow in awareness. That's what it is. And also, how else can the Vak grow? May this speech serve the knowledge. May whatever I talk be just this knowledge. Actually, that's a very good sadhana. Because there are so many things to talk about. In the break, in the retreat, in life, so many things to talk about. And that which is on the surface attracts. And that which is, that's what attracts, which can be objectified. That is what I see first. Oh, when did you come? Yesterday. So, how did you get here? By train, by flight, whatever. So, what time did the flight or the train arrive? Well, it came at 4 o'clock. So, how was the flight? Well, it was fine. The plane was a little bit late, but that is how it was. So then what did you do? What did you eat? Well, I got one of those bars that you can eat. So how was that bar? Well, it did not raise any bars. So it was all right. And we can go on and on like this, and one does. What has happened in this exchange? How have you benefited through this exercise of Vak? What does it matter whether the plane came on time? One is already here, correct? Or whether it didn't come on time. Where did you come from? I came from Alaska. Oh, so how did you get here? How many connections? These are all what is, these are all what is called, the kind of growth of the vak that is not being prayed for here. So, may the vak increase in capacity means, may I have the vocabulary. Vocabulary also comes from vak. Vocabulary. May I have for what? For being able to disseminate this knowledge. For being able to talk aloud about it. To help myself and others. So, this is how may it grow in capacity. To talk about the only thing there is, rather than all the things, the non-things that our conversations are always about. And so this is an invitation to grow the vak in the correct direction. Just like a plant. When you want to grow the plant in a correct direction, in a certain way, a little pruning is required. Otherwise it's all unruly. So you have to help it grow in a correct direction. You have to give it sunlight. And so like this, the light of awareness on the vak, in the form of the prayer, may I only talk about this, a silent wish, a desire. Because that's the only way the vak grows in capacity, not in the capacity to gossip, not in the capacity to badmouth oneself or others, not in the capacity for idle chatter, chit-chat, but in the capacity to grasp this knowledge and to be able to iterate it in my own words. That's the greatest blessing. The greatest blessing is that. Because grasping happens sometimes, very easily. And then you ask the person, what did you study in the class, after the class? And then they will diplomatically say, it was wonderful, I think you should attend the next class. Often that is the case. Why? Because that vak shakti is not there. And, and that also is Ganesha, is indirectly the Adhisthana Devata. That's why he's called Vagisha. And so there is a silent prayer that may, I eschew all forms of speech that do not serve me or this knowledge. This is a good sadhana to try, especially when one is together with others. It's very easy to go live in a cave because there is no challenge. And one thinks one is already there, one has already attained things. No, in fact, it is more beneficial to grow and live in communities so that each one becomes a mirror of the other. We can help each other reflect the best. And the best is that Bhagavan, which is Brahman, which is the truth of oneself. So vak, may it be purified, may it grow in capacity. Then prana. Prana here doesn't mean just respiration. It means pancha prana, all the health of all the organs and all the involuntary functions. Respiration, circulation, elimination, all that. Digestion. And finally what? The tick-tick fellow, Udana Vayu. Udana Vayu? The final prana, which is marking time for this body. And then, because we don't say that life is led in number of years, it is led in number of breaths. That is one reason never to hyperventilate. Never to ask for a paper bag, because this is shortening the lifespans and the yogis knew it. That's why they schooled themselves to breathe every other day, if that, so that they would live long. But as Pujya Swamiji would always say, if you ask the yogi, what did you do? You lived 15 years extra. The yogi would always reply, I was too busy breathing and trying to hold my breath. I don't remember what I did. So, that aside, so the prana has to be strong. The prana is like the vital force, like what they call in Chinese medicine, chi. That chi has to be there. And that chi is that life force. And that life force, which here is called prana, that prana has to bless this body to stay alive, because when the prana departs, what we have is a dead body, correct? Yeah. So I want the prana to stick around. I don't want the prana to leave. I want it to increase in strength and capacity. Why? So that I can dedicate myself. Let me have a second wind at this knowledge. Even though I think it's too late, even though I think, all these years I have studied, what has happened? Nothing has happened. Even though that is the case, let me just for a minute be a little unjaded about this, and let all the routinization that has been set in place about my limits, about my notions of my capacities, my talents, my limits, let that be suspended. And let this prayer for the prana to get a second wind, figuratively and literally speaking, let me have another chance. Because yesterday's Shravanam, very poor or very good, I don't know. But yesterday was yesterday. Today, right now with this prayer, let me give myself a chance to dispel the tamas and all the, inertia, the slothfulness, why this, why that, the apathy. Let me able to do that. And let the prana be blessed with the strength that is needed to back up my listening, to back up this study. And then along with the prana, chakshuhu, the eyes. May the eyes be blessed as they go, they follow the text. May the sandhis, all the conjugations, unravel themselves to me. May all the words, speak to the eyes first, and the eyes take them to the mind, really. So let the eyes function. And when the eyes are functioning, the eyes are also the metaphor for being able to, quote unquote, see the Atma. Not as an object, but as the truth of the subject. But the word see is used even in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Atma vai are drashtavyaha. It should be seen. Should be seen means what? It should be known as clearly as though as it were seen. So, vak, prana, chakshuhu, bless the eyes with the vision, which is the metaphoric vision of myself as myself. And then what? Shrotram, the ears. Definitely I want the ears to function. Not just the, ear, but the shrotrasya shrotram. The ear of the ear. Correct? Yeah. Not just the ear, but the ear of the ear. When? Year after year after year. May it bless me, because the ears listen. But if again the mind is not there, then what is the use? Correct? So when I say bless the ears, yes, let me not have any kind of auditory defects. Let those be made up for. But let me also, be able to hear and listen to what I hear. Vak prana chakshuhu Shrotram atha u balam. In the same way, balam, my overall strength. Because often one doesn't feel capable of, attending a retreat, of gaining this knowledge. There is a feeling of incapacity. Like only so much and no further. This is where I have plateaued in my Shravanam, in my capacity to gain. This is who I am. I'm not going to go beyond this threshold. So here is an invitation to cross the threshold by saying, balam, may all the sense organs gain in strength. Sarvani, all the sense organs, all the organs of action gain in strength. And why should they gain in strength? What is so special about them? Here's a declaration of the teaching itself that is made. Sarvam Brahma. Because everything is Brahman, starting with this body, mind, sense complex. Sarvam Brahma. It is in fact a Mahavakya, because Sarvam includes you. Sarvam Brahma, all this is including you, including this body, is indeed Bhagavan, is Brahman, is Ishvara. Sarvam Brahma. If everything is Ishvara, then how do you know this? Aupanishadam. Through the Upanishad, Upanishadi Bhavam Aupanishadam. Sarvam Brahma iti Upanishadi Bhavam. This is born of the Upanishad. That all this verily here is Brahman is stated in the Upanishad. It is a trademark of the Upanishad. This knowledge is born of the Upanishad. And then comes the rest of it is so beautiful. Maham Brahma Nirakuryam. Nirakaranam means denial. Ma means may not. Aham ma, may I not. Brahma Nirakuryam, may I never deny Brahman. This is a very interesting prayer. Who will deny Brahman? I always joke, it's the Abrahamic traditions. Because they are committed to a certain duality. And interestingly, it is called Abrahamic, and whenever you want to deny something, you put a or an, those are the negative particles in Sanskrit. So Brahman and Abrahman. So who is going to deny? That's just a joke, but who is going to deny Brahman? There are people who deny Brahman. Why? Because they are in a state of self-denial. That's the only condition under which you can deny the only thing that exists, the only thing that is true, the only thing that is real. Asanneva sabhavati asad brahmeti veda chet asti brahmeti chet veda santamenantato viduriti. Another Upanishad. What else can we quote? Taittiriya Upanishad. Asat eva sabhavati. If supposing somebody says, there is no Brahman, there is no Bhagavan, there is no Brahman at all, that person becomes asat, non-existent. It's like denying yourself, because that self, it was already said, Sarvam Brahma. It was already said, Sarvam Brahma. You are Brahman. Aham Brahma. Sarvam Brahma. Tattvam. It was already talked about like this in so many, vakyas. And then what? And then even after all this, if somebody says, I am not Brahman, it's like negating yourself. If you deny Brahman, you become non-existent. In fact, it's like, we can even put it the other way around. When I become non-existent, as it were, to myself, then I start to deny Brahman. There is a disconnection. This is the main thing that brings one to this knowledge is self-alienation. Alienation from oneself. I'm not connected to myself. I have a sense of completely being dissociated from myself. I'm doing something, I'm going through the motions, I'm living each day, but from a sense of disconnection from myself, which is the primary disconnection, and because of that, disconnected from everything else and everybody else. And this is the greatest danger. We may think this is the danger of the current world, Kali Yuga, what do you call it, Cyber Yuga. And in the Cyber Yuga, everybody is just with a little laptop, correct? Previously, the children were the laptops. Now, every lap has a laptop. So, the children are in, what are they called? Daycare centers. and the elderly are in homes, and the rest of the people are on the computer. This is what the whole thing is. So we think that this alienation is modern. We think that, this is what it is, this self-alienation and all is a product of what is ironically called the post-enlightenment age. I don't know, I don't see any enlightening thing about this enlightenment, except perhaps the enlightenment that one is ignorant. Maybe that is the enlightenment, I don't know. But we call this alienation a product of the quote-unquote modern age. And a lot of sociologists, starting with Karl Marx, have written about this alienation in great detail. And each one has a solution about this alienation. You talk to Karl Marx, he will have certain things to say. He will say everybody is alienated from what they eat, from what they produce, from what they consume. And this is a very bad thing because there are all these hierarchies. That is his take. Then you talk to another one, all these German and French sociologists who were very, very smart in delineating this alienation. You talk to Max Weber, and he talks about the concept of disenchantment. Very wonderful treatise on disenchantment he has written, and he talks about what is called the Protestant work ethic, that one is consumed by what we would call anatma so much that the atma doesn't even come into the picture. Then the French sociologist also has a great deal to say about this alienation. And even though the rishis, in the modern age lament saying that this is a modern, this alienation is a culprit of the modern times, the Upanishad begs to differ. The Shruti says alienation is timeless. It was there then, babhuva, long ago it was there, it is there now. It is there until and unless measures are taken to reverse this alienation through the study of these teachings, through the study of Vedanta. That is the antidote, the medicine to the venom of alienation. So therefore, very beautiful stroke here. First I am praying to Bhagavan, may my limbs be strong, may the eyes function, may the vak be okay, everything may it gain strength. And then suddenly, for what purpose should it gain strength is given here. Sarvam Brahma, to know that the truth of all the Upanishads is that everything is Brahman. And then anything standing in the way, starting with my own resistance, my own alienation, my own fears, my own tears, my own blocks, which make me deny this knowledge, which make me deny that this is the way to gain this knowledge, which make me deny that there is such a thing that needs to be understood. May all that recede, at least for being able to sit and listen in the class, may all that be suspended and later resolved. The knowledge will resolve it. Maham Brahma nirakuryam. May I never deny Brahman. Very, a very pregnant statement. Because it is saying, may I never deny the self. May I never deny myself. Because it's the rankest form of self-denial to say that there is no Brahman. And even if one does not say there is no Brahman, there are other ways of denying it, And the other forms of denial come very sneakily. Remember, it's all about sneaky pratibandhas. This whole retreat is devoted to sneaky pratibandhas and what to do about them. Pratibandhas means obstacles. So, so this is very gross. Denial of Brahman. I declare there is no Brahman. It's not a sneaky obstacle. It's in your face. But this can take on very sneaky forms. And one of them being, many forms. One of them being, I have been studying all this time. And I have been a good student. The person is assessing themselves, And I have attended each and every retreat that was offered. What has happened? Nothing. I have attended the classes. I've been a good student. What has happened? Nothing. So really, what is this Brahman? It's just there. But it's not changing anything big in my life. I've been going through the motions. Nothing has happened. This is one form it can take. Another form it can take. It's an extension of this. It's a lot of self-talk. Where the Purva Pakshi reigns supreme. Who is the Purva Pakshi? The one who is the doubter, who is keeping on putting objections. Gives the objection. What is the objection? Why this has to be the only way? Yeah. Why don't you ask that of yourself to at lunchtime? Why eating has to be the only way of, overcoming hunger? Why can't I be a breatharian? Forget vegan and vegetarian. Breatharian. So satisfied. Then you have to become a devata. These devatas, like all these celestial beings, they are called Paroksha Priyaha. Means they are very happy with just the laddus, the sniffing the laddus, they siphon off the nutrients. Just by smelling the laddus and the fragrance, they are satisfied. That's why if you make 108 balls, laddus, all 108 will be on the plate. Yeah. If Lord Ganesha said, I think I'm going to eat all of them, nobody will make 108 the next day. They'll just make one. But because it is there left for us to eat, day after day, we have confidence in Bhagavan, okay? From far he or she just sniffs and takes in the fragrances, acknowledges your hard work for which you will get some punya, some free laddus will come your way every now and then for all the ones that you have taken pains to prepare. And so like this we have to either be like the celestials who just sniff the food, or we should be born with solar panels on the head, then we don't need any body, anything. Just the head can be rolling around and soaking in the sunlight, transferring it to energy. Or you have to be a tree, and then have the leaves and then soak in the energy. But if those options are not available to you right now, what is the way to overcome hunger? You have to eat. No, but why I should eat only this way? Even then, this is a sneakier pratibandha. Why can't I eat like this? There is pranayama, right? This is called pranayama. And then there is one Dravida pranayama, where you catch hold of the nose like this. My hand is certainly not long enough. You have to be like Lord Rama. Ajanu Bahuhu means his hands were touching below the knees. So he could do Dravida pranayama very easily. So why I have to eat only like this? Why can't I eat like that? This is all the mind, is like a machine, one of those machines that you see at the fairs. You go to some kind of a fair comes to town, and then there is a useless machine, the most useless machine. And you put one penny there, and then it's all transparent. Have you seen that? Yeah. And then it's making one is going like this, and the other thing is going like this, and one is going fast, and the other thing is going slow, and one is going like that, and one is going anti-clockwise, and one is going sideways. And then after that, you just get a flattened penny. That's all it is. After all that ayasa, nothing happens. Ayasa means useless effort. This is how the mind is. One part is, going away, running with the thought. Why should I study this? Why only this way? And Upanishad is fine. Why this teacher has to come? Why I have to have somebody sitting and telling me what to do? My whole life problem is that people were telling me what to do. Not only this life, but the life before, and the life before, and the life before. And the people who told me what to do were not very trustworthy, because they told me what to do and they told me wrong things. In fact, they used me for their own entertainment, And I am supposed to listen to now you, and you have self-appointed yourself as part of a package deal, touring me through Brahma Loka, Brahma Eva Loka. Okay, yeah. So that which is Brahman only, I have appointed. You have appointed yourself as a tour guide. I didn't ask for the tour guide. I just want the tour. A guideless tour is what I want. And here you have appointed yourself, and then there are all these rules. Why I should study only this way? Not so sneaky pratibandha. But then sometimes it takes on a finessed way as well. It takes on a finessed way in the sense that whenever I come to class, this is the finessed version of what I just articulated. What is called, in other words, authority issues. Whenever I come to class, I get a fever. Suddenly, unexplainably, everything gets hot. I get hot and bothered. I can't sit. I fidget. I feel like leaving. I leave. And somebody actually told me this. I'm fine until I enter the portals of the Vedanta hall. Then I sit in the hall, and then what? Then I have a fall, really. Because nothing works. I get the chills, I get headache, I get fever. And then when I leave, what happens? Remarkably, I'm fine. So are there any allergens? Is there anybody using any perfume? No. Is there any incense? No. Is there any mold in the room? No. Then if all other things have been eliminated, are you allergic? What are you allergic to? Are you allergic to the knowledge? Not possible because it is you. Well, it is possible because there are such things as autoimmune diseases, So you can be allergic to yourself. More about that later. In fact, this is really what we are studying is all about that. But, in autoimmune, what it is ignorance, really. Whatever is attacking the own immune system is because of the ignorance. If it knew that it was its own, then it would not attack. Yeah. Even at the cellular level, the self-ignorance is a very dangerous thing. So then, if it is, what is it that's attacking you? You cannot be allergic to the knowledge because it is you. Yeah, I know, but I'm still allergic. Then what are you allergic to? Well, perhaps the way in which it is transmitted, I'm allergic to. Perhaps the person who is transmitting it, I'm allergic to. Perhaps the other people sitting in the class, I'm allergic to. Because why this person? I know how this person is. This person is not a good student. Why are they here? So many times the mind goes like that. So these are the not very obvious, subtle morphing, subtle versions of the authority issue. Suddenly getting an unexplained fever, all these things have to be looked at as a form of self-denial, where I don't feel worthy enough to pursue this knowledge and to give myself a gift of being able to have a committed pursuit. Maham Brahma Nirakuryam. May I not deny that this knowledge is not good for me. May I never deny, or may I never make the statement that this knowledge is not good for me. May I never believe this. May I never be alienated from myself. And may the antidote, the panacea for self-alienation that has come into my path, that has been offered to me, may I never refuse to take it. This is another thing. You can take the horse to the water, but you can't force it to drink. So here, I am being taken to the waters that fill and that overflow, that limitless, I am taken to that limitless flow. May I not refuse to enter this flow. And then the other one is even more powerful statement. Mama Brahma Nirakarot. May Brahman, may Bhagavan never deny me. As though Bhagavan has no other thing to do. Why will Brahman say you don't exist? Not possible. So what are we talking about? a subtle aspect of my own projection that God has abandoned me, that I am left to my own devices and desires and my own ignorance. Nobody is helping me. Here's the victimization back in through the back door. We just sent it out the front door. And what did it do? It padded, with padded feet, it entered through the back. Bhagavan doesn't love me. Bhagavan doesn't want me. This is from the standpoint of the disillusioned devotee. Bhagavan is me, but here we are talking from the standpoint of the disillusioned devotee. And a very sneaky obstacle is thinking that I am not worthy of this knowledge because Bhagavan is not doing anything to help me gain this knowledge. This is what one gets very, disillusioned, hopeless, apathetic in one's pursuit. And this statement, that Bhagavan is doing nirakaranam of me, Bhagavan is negating me, Bhagavan has just left me to flounder, is an expression of that hopelessness. So therefore, if that feeling is there in me, that either I am denying Bhagavan or Bhagavan is denying me, both are just my own forms of denial. Mama bhuhu, may that never be, and may that denial never be for myself, or may I never project that denial onto Bhagavan. May Bhagavan never, be a object of my denial. Maham Brahma Nirakuryam, Mama Brahma Nirakarot, addressing the subtle obstacles. And then what? To seal the deal, Anirakaranam astu. Let there be non-denial on all sides. From the gross to the subtle, let me be in tandem with what is. Let me not deny what is. Anirakaranam me astu. May there be no denial for me on all sides. And then what? Yad atmani nirate ya Upanishad sudharmaha te mayi santu. In the Upanishad, there are certain dharmas, attributes of studentship that have been outlined. What are they? Viveka, discrimination. Viveka between what and what? Nitya and Anitya. That which is finite and that which is infinite, I am able to discern and know that I want really the infinite. And then what? And to that end, I have vairagya, dispassion towards the finite ends, letting go of the finite ends. And then I have a tivra mumukshutvam. Mumukshutvam is the desire to be free of pursuing the finite ends. And that itself is not enough. Mumuksha has to be converted into jignasa. What is jignasa? Desire to study, desire to learn, because that is the only way for freedom. Freedom is not just through, just going and doing whatever one wants, because even whatever one wants is also not very free. So, therefore, the freedom is inner freedom of understanding that there is nothing, nobody, and nothing that is a constricting factor. That is the freedom. That I am not being constrained by other people's opinions, fears, fancies, nothing. I am the only thing there is no second. That freedom, to gain, one has to discover this as the truth of the self through a committed study. And that is what is called jignasa. So the mumuksha, the desire for freedom, which is just the basic desire which is frittered away through so many, ways. People feel free by coloring their hair green, they feel free. Confusing the people whether the trees have started to be on the run. And that's an expression of freedom, especially in America and in the West we see this. And then, but since everybody is coloring their hair purple, green, yellow, whatever it is, then it is not so free anymore. Then you have to find another mode of freedom that keeps shifting. Here, we are talking of the unshifting freedom, which is the truth of one's own self, which has to be discovered, which is an already established fact. Moksha is not something to run after because it is you, so it has to be discovered, and that's why the moksha, mumuksha, is converted into the desire for knowledge. And then we have what is called the fourth one, which is actually 6. And why do you call it just 1 when it is actually 6? Because we don't want to lose students. That's already Vedanta does not attract many students. And so we want to it is in the interests of the teachers and the teaching tradition to hang on to what we have. And so therefore, we say only 4. That I can handle. And then at the end you say, actually that the fourth one is 6, And then by the time hopefully one is hooked. And one does not run away. Daunting, feeling daunted. Somebody asked me, why are all the qualifications in the Bhagavad Gita in the 13th chapter? I said, because if they were in the first chapter, nobody would go to up to the 13th chapter. They would feel so unworthy. Because 20 qualities, amanitva, madambitva, ahimsa, kshanti, arjavam, etc., it's keeping on there. So it is kept, towards the end, so that, one feels like, okay, it is, I know it now, and I know where I need to help myself more shama, more dama, more uparati, more titiksha, more shraddha, more samadhanam. This is what is called the spiritual 6-pack, And just like the empirical 6-pack is not achieved without a continuous exposure to the gym, correct? Yeah, you can't just suddenly go one day and then say, oh, do I have 6-pack? You will not have 6-pack, even 1 pack will not be there. You have to go repeatedly and do the same exercises over and over and over again. And then finally one day, 6-pack. Same thing with Shama, Dhamma, etc. It is a sadhana, it is a practice that has to be done. It's a mental gymnasium where you just swing and you strengthen those muscles. Yeah, you strengthen those inner muscles, the spiritual muscles, the mental muscles, the emotional muscles of reactivity, non-accommodation, and all these things. You strengthen them and you grow into someone who is worthy, who is not just worthy of being called a student, which is what the word shishya is. Shikshana yogya, shishya. And that the word Sikh is from Shishya. Shishya in Gurumukhi language means Sikh. That is what it is. Shishya. And so the Shishya is a studentship is something that is gained. And in modern days, it is gained alongside with the teaching. Unlike we saw yesterday, unlike Nachiketa, unlike Satyakama, Indra is more our type. Yeah, he took 101 years, which fills my heart with joy. Wonderful. If someone as exalted as a celestial, the god of all the celestials, the leader of the pack, takes 101 years to gain this knowledge, I am in good company. Yeah, this should not be a feeling of feeling daunted. This is actually a very encouraging thought. So then the studentship, all the qualities, you see, this is such a clever prayer. All the qualities mentioned in the Upanishads to gain the truth of the Upanishads. May they abide in me, te mayi santu. And it is repeated for good measure, te mayi santu. No, it's repeated to show the end of the prayer, but, it is, we may as well take it, as a repetition, as a nice dose, second dose, in case I was not paying attention the first time. Te mayi santu, may all of them abide in me. In case I left one out, may it abide in me. Shama, a resolved mind, Dhamma, a resolved reflexes of the body, at the level of the body. Uparati, letting go of sweating the small stuff. And then what? Titiksha, the ability to put up with discomfort for the sake of the knowledge. Shraddha, the ability to override all the buttons of doubts, authority issues and mistrust. The ability to have trust pending understanding. Samadhanam, the single-minded focus whereby I make each class my meditation by listening to it completely. These are all these qualities along with Viveka, Vairagya, Jignasa, etc. Let them, all of them, come to me right now. Let them abide in me. Let them abide in me. Let them all just come effortlessly and sit in the heart so that I am blessed by this knowledge, because the gain of the knowledge is incumbent upon these qualifications. Then the extent, there is a concomitant relationship. The extent to which I have these qualifications is the extent to which my clarity is there. The extent to which the knowledge exposes itself to me. And so therefore may they all abide in me. And like all the Shanti mantras, it ends in 3 Shantis, giving a nod to the various, what are they called? Various sources, the so-called sources of impediments. And even though the word Shanti, sometimes I go to these interfaith meetings and they say, Om Shanti, 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 Om, peace, peace, peace. Peace is really not the correct translation. It is freedom from disturbance, really. Freedom from disturbance. And so that freedom from disturbance is, I suppose, translated as peace. And so here, the 3 sources of disturbance are acknowledged. And we've seen this in other settings, so I won't dwell on it too much. So one is Adhi Bhautikam, acts of Bhagavan, acts of God, such as earthquake, so many things. The building falls down, all these things, which we don't want to happen, over which we have no control at all. And so, may there be Shanti from that source of obstruction, over which I have no control at all. No control, no knowledge. Things completely out of my control. Source out of my control. And then, in fact, it's a source out of my control because all this have been outsourced to Bhagavan. It's not in my hands. Then what? The second one is forces that let me have freedom from forces, freedom of disturbance from forces not immediately under my control. Like the classroom situation. Sometimes one comes little late, and then what happens? Somebody else has taken my favorite seat. And I have to sit in the less favorite seat. And I'm convinced that this is why I'm not getting moksha. So, because somebody else has stolen my seat. So these are the feelings. And sometimes everything is wonderful, but I don't like the person sitting next to me. That person is always, fidgeting and, taking the pen and doing something and keeping on talking to me. I want to listen and they're keeping on talking to me. All these things. This is called Adhi Bhautika Vignani. And then, outside in India this happens a lot. As soon as you say the Shanti mantra, whenever I teach there, this happens. And the dogs in the neighborhood decide to settle who is the alpha dog once and for all. And you have to stop. You really have to just let go. Dog is God in that time. And you have no control over it. And after they stop, then you start. So, Adi Bhautika Vignam. And then finally what? Sources of disturbance from within me, Adhyatmika, Vignani. And this over which, in fact, the first 2 I have no control. This is the only thing over which I have a say. So let the mind be free and free of disturbance, available for the teachings. So now that we know the meaning, let us chant it together one more time. Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vakpranashchakshusrotramatho Balamindriyani Cha Sarvani Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Mama Brahma Nirakarot Anirakaranamastvanirakaranam me astu Tadatmani nirateya upanishatsu dharmaste magi santu te magi santu Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Now we have a half an hour tea break. The next class starts at 10:45 and I recommend, after seeing what I saw from this side, I recommend strong coffee for everyone or some form of caffeine. Enjoy.